Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Spanish Grand Prix, and as you can see, it is a little bit wet, interestingly. I'm not going to quote who said it, but I remember before the stream somebody said, "It's not going to rain, guys. It's not going to rain." Well, I'll tell you what, it is raining for qualifying and for the race. We're a fair way into qualifying. Unfortunately, once again, just a couple of things to sort out, but we are finally back. Zingy currently tops the times on the intermediate tyre. The wets some drivers have got on, they're not that much slower. Now, here is the thing. We're on dynamic weather, so there's a lot more variation involved, a lot more variation possible for weather conditions. We don't know what's going to happen exactly. We have a brief idea. We think it's going to be raining for most of the race, if not all of it, but we'll find out later on, won't we? There's the intermediate condition tyre kicking in quite nicely, so I guess it is time to put on that intermediate tyre if you have not already. Zingy's got a couple more corners to go, a little bit of a lift in these wet conditions. It's not going to be easy to get your head around, but across the line for Zingy, no DRS. That's going to be a pole position, a 21.9. That is 8 tenths in front, Matt, there. That's a pretty decent lap there from Zingy. And he's going to go again, I believe, potentially. He's got a lot of ERS, so he can distribute it throughout the lap. And he can go again for another quick lap. The tyres stay pretty warm. That's another thing for strategy. There is probably going to be a pit stop, but they're definitely going to be more even stints. Maybe some will go for the undercut, maybe some will go for the overcut, but obviously there's going to be no switch up on tyre compound. As we know, it might change, it might be full wet to start with, it might be inters to start with, and then it might change later on, but like I said, we cannot tell until the time comes. Two drivers on the wets, they're both plonking on those intermediate tyre conditions. That is a McLaren in the way of Zingy on his lap, and he's going to be pretty furious with that one. That being said, is he actually on an improvement? I don't think he was on an improvement. So, no, he was saving up, and I think he's going again now. Is he going again now? He is going to go again now. So, actually, no worries at all. Matt into the pit lane. Me, Cash, and Devon Young once again reserving, followed by Dave Raptors, who hopefully this time can actually get a lap in for the F1 tier. Heischler, of course, Nifajan Igapro is now returning to the grid, and PJ as a reserve driver today in the Alpine. Good to see PJ in the F1 23 game. We'll see what they can do. We watched on board a while with Zingy. We're going to watch on board with Heischler. Probably not the best time to catch him, but he's still on the lap and he's improved by just over half a tenth. Can he get this done now? Losing the rear quite heavily, lighting them up into turn 5. Very, very nice apex there. Just in general, to be honest, it's quite fun to get around. Up the hill we go. Should get a bit more grip, but the curves are going to make it a very, very slippy. It's easy to get a snap. And now through turn 9 and the hairpin of 10, I believe it's number 10. Braking as hard as you can without locking up. Looks pretty good as they want to try and V off the corner, get the car rotated. And then on the throttle, the differential is going to be key here. They're going to have to be playing around with that to make sure that they maximize their traction. Up a few clicks, about 5-10% you want, maybe even 15 if you dare. Around the final corner goes Zingy at 20.8, and Heischler will finish their lap with a 2-second improvement, a 22.1. So it's a massive improvement there from Zingy, and a pretty big improvement from Heischler. He can go again. He has time to save up and then go again regardless. Slightly longer lap, but nowhere near the 2-minute mark. Matthew Riley's got those new fresh intermediate tyres on, and he's going to go again for another fast lap. I think everybody is pretty much in a similar situation. Devon Young actually crossed the line. We've got PJ who's crossed the line to go and set themselves in P5. Everyone moving their way up on that intermediate condition tyre, but Zingy is on another level. Heischler, no, not Heischler, Devon Young isn't that far away. It's about 2 tenths, maybe 3. But everybody else, they've got a lot to gain if they want to try and catch up and contend with the Scottish driver. Final corner for Mikash. What's it going to be for them? Dave Raptors to P3. Mikash just behind him. And they're 3/10 apart on their own. 3/10 apart from Dave Raptors and Devon Young. More about 2/10. So it's all closing up a little bit. Heischler goes around again to start their final lap of the session. We'll see what they can do very shortly. Matthew Wiley, what can they do? Zingy into the pit lane, and they finish their session. They will not be improving. Eager Pro up to P4. Everyone making their way up the order. That is fastest lap from Devon Young. Devon Young's on pole position. 3/10 improvement. Zingy was not expecting that one, I bet. I bet he wasn't expecting that one. We've got Nippo Jan at the back of the grid. Drama up front. We didn't get to see him cross the line. Nippo Jan off the circuit, and unfortunately that is going to make it very difficult for them to improve too far up the order. That's absolutely incredible. Will we see an improvement from the likes of maybe Dave Raptors? Dave Raptors into the final sector. He's backing off to start his final lap. Everybody is going to be in a similar situation. Eager Pro actually doesn't have much energy in his car, so he is going to be going for this one final lap, I'll assume, and then we'll see what he can do across the sector line. He's up by almost 2/10. So he is looking to try and get in front of Dave Raptors. Needs a bit more time if he wants to get in front of Mikash, but they do have more laps on board if they want to. Eager Pro loses it out the final few corners, and that is unfortunately going to be their qualifying session sorted. Heischler also in P7. They finish their session. They will not be able to improve any further than that, which is a shame because they say that it's their strongest circuit. So, yeah, a massive, massive shame. Matt, P2. He improves up in front of Zingy. Absolutely incredible. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff from these guys. Zingy either misjudging it or the track is just drying up. It must be drying up. Track has to be drying up in this situation unless Zingy has just kind of miscalculated how much the others would improve. Matt takes provisional pole position. Will Devon Young be improving? He will not be improving. Mikash, is he going to be able to improve? He will not. Dave Raptors, is he going to look for his pole position in F1 round the final corner and across the line to set? Oh, it's P2! It's P2! Matt lines it up on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix for Ferrari. That is incredible! He returns. He returns after a long, long way away from LSI. And in his second race back, he's on pole position. That's absolutely incredible. It's in the wet conditions, which makes it even more interesting. If he can hold on to the lead, this could be looking very, very good, but he's got a lot to think about. Zingy's in P4. He's going to be interesting. He's going to have a very good start off the line, I reckon, so he might be able to make his way up to the front very soon. But right now, this guy is the one to focus on. Matt takes it to pole position for the first time in LSI. That is incredible. Matt takes pole position. Dave Raptors in P2 and Devon Young in P3. That's the rest of the grid. And we'll go to the race director and just double check everything in case we need to. We will see you in a bit for the race. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are finally away. Matthew Wiley on pole position. Can Dave Raptors get in front of him? No, he will not be able to. He will have the inside line. The Alfa Romeos are there. Zingy makes a move, but it's not going to be enough to get any further. Matthew Wiley after the first corner leads the way, and that is the Alfa Romeo of Devon Young into P2. Incredible stuff around the outside. Zingy looked for it. Was there contact there? Looking for the switchback as he loses momentum. He is on the inside and he's gonna send it. Absolutely incredible there from Zingy. All on the wet tyres, these guys. Oh, losing it big time. Trying his best. He's going for the lead is Devon Young. Oh, what an effort, and he's done it. He has done it. To the outside goes Matthew Wiley. He's going to have to back off out of that one. Oh, Devon makes a mistake. There's almost contact. Zingy's to P2. And now he's already going to be challenging the Ferrari. Look at the exit that he's got. That's incredible. He's going to need to send it on the brakes. He's not. He's going to back out. Zingy is going to lead the Spanish Grand Prix already on the opening lap. Everybody else further behind, scuffling for positions. That is high and white Nifojan. He's managed to make so many positions off the start, I'll tell you that. He's got Heichler right to the inside. There's a marker board taken out by accident, but Heichler, he's managed to get the job done. A couple positions. Dave Raptors losing out big time, which is such a shame, but a very good effort. Looking further forward though, Devon Young really wants to get the job finally done on Matt, but it's not going to quite work. A very tight squeeze. The Ferrari will just about hold on. That was very, very close, but well held there from the Ferrari driver. Is it going to work out for Devon Young? Is he going to come back at him? No, he's just going to hold off for now, but that is an incredible effort. Nifojan, I have to say. P4 is incredible from them. That's Dave Raptors being fought by Mikash. Mikash is trying to have a look to the outside but makes a mistake, and that is going to be Igor to the inside line, and he should be able to take that position on a corner like that. Very, very straightforward. PJ sitting behind all of these guys at the moment, just looking to see if he can get anything done a little bit later on. We're going to look at everything that we need to, and then we'll be good to go. Everybody is on the wet tyre situation, so there's no point at looking at the tyre situation whatsoever. Zingy leads by 1.7 seconds. The pace in this man is absolutely unreal. The next battle is going to be between Matt and Devon Young. Matt's done an incredible job. Zingy's managed to get in front very early on. He is racing against the clock rather than drivers. This time, Matt does not get pressured by the Alfa Romeo, and they are able to hold on. Nifojan right behind Devon Young here. This is a circuit they're a bit more familiar with, and I will state that they have had experience in the wet around the Spanish GP circuit, so this isn't going to be too unfamiliar for them. The difference being is that we might have mixed conditions later. It might dry up, it might not, it might go to inters, it might not. We will find out much later on into this Grand Prix. That is Heichler in P5 still. Dave Raptors now trying to stabilize themselves as they're still struggling with the rear end a little bit. Eager Pro holding on, but Mikash is right behind him. Looking pretty tasty is the back of that Aston Martin, but not closing in enough at the moment, so he will not be looking for that position. It's going to be a long way if they do hold on behind. If they want to make some moves, if they want to try and catch up to Dave Raptors and maybe look at Heichler, then they're going to need a bit more than that. Oh, and that is Matt Wiley, unfortunately, down the order, and that is such a shame. Did not get to see that one myself, but looks like he just spun out the penultimate corner, and that is pole position to P last. What a shame, but luckily he doesn't have damage, so he can continue in this race, and if somebody else makes a mistake, he will be able to capitalize. It could be worse, but that is pretty heartbreaking now. I think he leads the way now by 2.1 seconds. And we've got Devon Young in P2 with Nifojan, the closest car behind him, Heischler. He's not too far away from Nifo. He needs a little bit more if he does want to try and make the overtake, though. You need to be really close in the wet conditions if you do want to pass. More mistakes there from Matt, unfortunately, after that initial spin. But he should be able to stabilise a little bit later on, hopefully. Struggling a little bit is Heischler with the rear end, nicely held into the hairpin and out of the hairpin as well. So really trying his best to push it. So is Nifo, as you can see up in front. Very, very twitchy. The rear end is very loose, maybe just not quite prepared for the wet conditions. Setup-wise, it's very difficult to judge. I'm not saying anything negative about them at all. It's just very difficult to judge. Maybe too stiff of a suspension on that car. It could be the case, but it's just tricky. It's wet conditions. It's not inters. It's so difficult. And talking about difficult, Devon Young's managed to improve to Zingy, or Zingy has made a mistake in these difficult conditions. So 1.7 seconds is the gap at the moment, and he hasn't exactly got a massive amount of energy in that car. So it's not looking so straightforward. Devon Young, he's got a lot of energy in that car, so he could improve here and catch up to Zingy later on, but it's going to take some doing. And if that wasn't a mistake from Zingy, then it will get pretty interesting later on. But if it was a mistake, then Zingy should be able to stabilise eventually. Eichler getting as close as he has for a while, but he will not be able to go for a move as he does. Unfortunately, lock up into the hairpin regardless of not going for that move. That is Nifojan so sideways, and you can see it's a little bit distracting for the car behind. Heischler's ready to react all of a sudden to a spinning car in front. Then they don't spin. Then all of a sudden you've just lost a load of time. It's very, very difficult to judge. Very distracting. But it's just how it goes sometimes. Dave Raptors leads the way of this train. Igapro sitting behind. He can't do anything. Mikash sitting behind these guys as well. PJ's got a little bit to catch if he does want to be with the train up in front. But as soon as these guys do fight each other before the pit stop window, it is going to be very, very difficult. Alrighty, well, looking at this, Zingy is kind of controlling the gap. He brings it up a little bit, but it's not a massive amount. Devon Young is still right there, and he's still got a lot of energy in that car. And he's starting to save as he actually ends up using on the straight. So he is trying to extend that gap to make sure that there's no worries mentally from any of us, himself and the other driver included. He doesn't want anybody to get excited and start pushing and maybe actually catch him. That would be the worst situation for him to be in. That being said though, Devon is very, very close and he might be able to give it a shot. When are we going to see the pit stop situation occur? I reckon it would be around lap 15, maybe 16, 17, if it is going to be a pretty straightforward condition strategy. That is Heischler going for the lead of this battle. Nifojan's going to either look for a switchback or just let the position go. He doesn't fight it too hard when the McLaren swoops through. Nifojan now finds the dirty air, and it's all of a sudden a new challenge that you have to get used to. That is a yellow flag from PJ. PJ off, but he's still in the race, so luckily he can continue. Don't believe he's got any damage from the position he was on the circuit, and he should be able to carry on in this race. Matt does catch up to him, That's a 12-second gap between those guys. That is Dave Raptors losing the position to both Mikash and Igor. But Dave trying to come back around the outside. Now to the inside line, and he does get it done on the Alfa Romeo. Igor Pro finally making that move on Dave Raptors. Causes a bit of a chain reaction. Mikash doesn't want to be stuck behind Dave Raptors. Dave Raptors makes a mistake, and once again, we will see a side-by-side moment. We can't find a good camera angle. Dave Raptors loses the advantage, and it looks like he might be out of contention here. To the outside line goes the Alfa Romeo. They can get the traction down a lot easier, taking that wider line. That is perfect from him. Well done indeed. Eager Pro is still directly in front of him, but now they both have moved up. All of a sudden, Dave Raptors goes from P5 to P7, and I don't know if he's going to be able to catch back up. I believe he is learning. No line, so that is maybe an explanation. That is unfortunately a disconnection, though. Heck of a shame there for Dave. But he did lose those 2 positions, so it was going to be difficult for him to come back. Eager Pro now finds himself in clean air. Heischler broke away from that battle massively. So actually, maybe there was a lot more pace in that McLaren, unless Nifojan has just made a mistake, because if I remember correctly, these guys weren't as close as they currently are right now. So Nifojan, maybe it's pace from Heischler, but also I think it could have been just a simple mistake from Nifojan, as he does make more mistakes, and the 2 cars behind do catch up significantly. Remember, this is the F1 tier, so every single position counts regardless. If you are a reserve driver, Nifojan loses out. What a shame. A perfect spin, and they will continue, but that looks like they're going to lose more positions, I believe. I think Dave Raptors will be on it to him soon. No damage yet again, just spinning off the circuit. You lose a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence once you do spin, but luckily it's a pretty decent racetrack, and there's some pretty far away walls that prevent you from crashing on too many occasions. That is an interesting lag spike. Very, very, very difficult for Dave Raptors to understand what's going on there. And he goes off the circuit, keeps the car planted, and carries on. So good job. Mikash goes round the outside of Eager Pro at turn 5. And that is the move done. Now, will he be able to extend, or will Eager Pro be sitting behind him? Lap 9 out of 33, about to start lap 10. We're going to have to consider the strategy situation at some point soon, I believe. Mikash, let's watch that gap to Devon Young and Heischler. Heischler, 3 seconds behind these guys. Let's see if he can catch it up. Right now, he's not doing a bad job. Devon Young has managed to catch up a little bit once again onto Zingy. So, slowly but surely, this is going to be an interesting end to the race, as it seems, unless Zingy can find a new bit of life towards the end. It's not going to be as straightforward as he maybe would have hoped. That 3 second gap that Heischler had, it's 2.9. Is it going to get to 2.8? It does get to 2.8. Looking quite confident in the, I was going to say high speed corners. Maybe that's Devon Young who's better on the straight, because he had a lot more energy earlier. Maybe he's just managing a little bit more, whereas Heischler, opposite to Zingy, he's just not using anything whatsoever. Everything is a little bit of a strategy. Zingy's got more ERS than he did earlier on, so he has saved a little bit, but not that much still. He's not saving that much. I think he's just distributing the energy to make sure that he maintains his lap time. And that is a 1.5 second gap, so it's going up and down a little bit, but more down than it is up. And don't take that out of context. That is a slightly closing gap here for Heischler as well. He's not doing a bad job, but he wants to close a little bit quicker than that if he is going to fight a bit further up. These guys look like they're getting closer and closer and closer, so we could see a battle here as well, and that'll be interesting. A battle further behind, though, is PJ and Matt. Matt makes the move on PJ. They had pace in qualifying, and they're going to show it now. They get a little bit twisty on the exit of the corner, which does allow PJ to get nice and close once again, but I think that position will be made. He's going to have to use battery towards the end of the straight completely if he wants to get involved in this one. That is unfortunately a warning for Nifojan, and I don't know if that's exceeding track limits or corner cutting. I believe it's just exceeding track limits, even though it said corner cutting. But we'll see. It might have been a bit of a bigger mistake. Dave Raptors unfortunately going off the circuit once again. Just losing traction, trying to get the data in for tomorrow if possible, I assume. They are leading the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship for McLaren. So, yeah, it is a shame. And they do retire. They make a mistake after spinning the car back around. The hot tyres is not going to work out. As soon as Devon Young was getting in a position to catch up and maybe overtake Zingy, they're all into the pit lane and everything's going to be reset. They managed to both avoid the pit lane entry bug. I think everybody else should be able to do the same. Look at the gap that Mikash pulled on Eager Pro. Absolutely insane from him. Very, very well played indeed. Now, everybody's going to catch up. They're in their more spread out positions. Heichler gets a second chance. Devon Young is going to be a bit frustrated at that one because he was catching up nicely and he didn't exactly have that much pressure from Heichler behind. So, both Zingy and Devon, they're going to be pretty angry. Heichler's going to be loving this. Mikash going to be loving this. Everyone's going to be loving this. And I think Matt will also be quite enjoying this one after their pole position, going to last place, finally making a move. They're now going to be back and bunched up to the grid. Alrighty. Not ideal situation for Nifojan. Everybody closing up. All of a sudden that time penalty range is slightly less extended. We will have a quick look at the situation, not of that area, but race director, just to double check. So it was corner cutting. It wasn't exceeding track limits. So he's made a mistake, completely cut the corner, got himself a time penalty. That would suggest it's not impossible to get that time penalty removed. But we'd have to see later on, wouldn't we? It might not get removed after all. Everyone's going to be catching up. And we will use this time to quickly take a short break. I will leave you on board with Devon Young in case we go for the restart unexpectedly. We will see you in a minute. Alrighty, so it's lap 13 out of 33. Zingy leads the way, Devon Young in P2, Heichler, Mikash Pro, Nifojan, and Matt PJ in P8, and Dave Raptors DNFing, causing the safety car. We will be going in at the end of this lap, and Devon Young will have the honours of reacting to Zingy. Will he be able to master the reaction of Zingy's safety cars, or will Zingy once again hold his pride in getting those very creative and perfect safety car restarts? There is the confirmation, and we will be in this lap. As you can see, Zingy bunches up the grid. Everybody's got to sit behind him and play ball. When will he go for it? The safety car is not in yet. They're still out for now. Coming around the final corner is the safety car. As long as he keeps the car to max revs, he can go at any point. And I believe he's already gone for it. Yes, he has. Zingy goes for the restart. Devon Young trying his best to react, but it's mid-corner. It's not that easy. Heischler sitting right behind. He is close to the Alfa Romeo. The other Alfa Romeo's right there. Eager Pro struggling off the restart. Nifajan would have been called by Zingy to maybe go for that restart if they were communicating. Perfect stuff there from Nifajan. Can he get a move done here into turn one? No, he's going to sit behind. Matt sits right behind him. He catches up nicely. The Eager Pro making more mistakes. Nifajan looking to the inside. And what a move. He's got it done. Has he got it done? No. They still go side by side up to turn four. Eager Pro's the outside line. He might have the traction. He should have the traction, but he has the advantage to Nifajan. Less track distance to cover. That is the move sorted. Perfect job. Matt is going to be looking at that one to see if he can try and get in front of the Aston. Very, very well played there from Nifajan right off the bat. Devon Young, in the meantime, wasn't able to quite get close enough to Zingy. Zingy's going to now use this opportunity to try and escape as he uses a bit of energy on the straight. Everybody's still on the wet tyres. They pitted for the fresh blue wall tyre. What did PJ go for? He did go for the same. So just a couple of mistakes, unfortunately, means he's dropped back a little bit, but he still sees the cars in front. Zingy leads the way after the safety car restart. Devon Young 1.1 seconds behind. Zingy really trying to push on that lap to have a look at the fastest lap potentially. Maybe he'll go again a little bit later, but our safety car really has made it almost perfect to get a fresh set of tyres on and go to the end of this race. Devon Young catches up a little bit to make that near enough a 1 second gap as he tries to make sure that he gets that gap to what it was earlier on and see if he can fight for the win and take away the current winning streak from Zingy. He won the last two races of the last F1 season, and he won the Italian Grand Prix for the first time ever at Monza. So he's currently on a 3 streak. Eichler sitting behind, looking for the podium here. He's been sitting in this position for a while after getting past Nifajan earlier on in the Grand Prix. All of a sudden there is a new threat, and that is the Alfa Romeo, who might want to have a look here. If it's going to be possible, that would be a podium position. Oh, and that is a mistake there, and I think both Eager Pro and Matt was involved. Matt maybe just avoiding action. Eager Pro maybe having a bit of a spin, or both cars maybe collided and they just kind of slowed each other down. I'm not entirely sure. No drivers got damaged regardless. Matthew Wiley going to the inside line. He's going to send it on the brakes, and that is what you call a dive bomb. That is absolutely perfect. Well played from the Ferrari. He sent it hard enough that he got the job done, but not so hard that he missed the corner. That's perfect balance and exactly what you need. In the rain as well. Exactly what you need to secure a move. Well done indeed. Unfortunately, PJ goes off again, and they're going to have a little bit more work to do if they want to get back into this race. But no safety car is deployed. No damage is on their car. Devon Young loses about 3/10. Zingy is now once again on a roll, regrouped, and he's good to go. Heischler a little bit far behind Devon Young now, so he's not able to hold on. Instead, the other Alfa Romeo of Mikash is looking for that move more and more. 4 tenths behind, and a DRS straight is available. Of course, there's no DRS, but it's a long enough straight to possibly have a look at a move, as we saw from Matthew Wiley. Now, not getting the perfect exit on the final 2 corners was Mikash there, so maybe lacking a little bit of downforce compared to the likes of Heischler. In the McLaren, holding a quite nice top speed situation, so it's looking pretty good. That's what we thought earlier on was the case against Heischler versus Devon Young, and this is almost proving the point where it gets to slightly more low traction. It might be more pro Mikash. We'll find out here on the exit of turn 5. Let's see how it goes. I mean, he doesn't exactly catch too much, but Mikash isn't that far away regardless. It's all about the entry line and if you can keep the car stable throughout the corner to get on the traction on the exit. It's about keeping the minimum speed so you don't have to regain all those revs that you worked to build up earlier on in the lap. That is really how you need to drive in the wet conditions. Not only that, you need to be smooth and precise and very gentle on the brakes as well. All of a sudden, Devon Young was nice and close to the back of Zingy, but suddenly loses back again. Gets over 1 second. On the straight, he's looking pretty rapid. Will he be able to get it within the 9/10 range? Doesn't look like it. But it's still not easy. A little bit of a rough ride there from Zingy on the curb does mean Devon Young is all of a sudden allowed to make the 8/10. And he's still in a good position to possibly have a go at looking for a win. But as I said earlier on, if you do want to go for an overtake in the wet conditions, you need to be so much closer than in the dry. Not only do you not have DRS, but the braking performance is less. So it's harder to outbrake a car. Yes, of course, it could be relative, but you don't grip up when you put the brakes on. You just slide. So that's the problem, and you might go into the other car. You need to be a lot closer, and you're going to have to be about 2 to 3 tenths to make a decent overtake. If you go further back than that, then it's going to be a hell of a send. So we're going to still need at least half a second here from Devon Young to even consider an overtake. This lap, however, he does a bit of a better job to previous and catches up nicely. That being said, I did kind of jinx him as he had a couple of corrections on the steering, which does lose him a bit of time. Heischler not having an easy job. They're being kept on their toes at the moment, so they can't afford to make any mistakes. But they are maintaining the gap from Mikash, so doing a pretty good job right now. Nifojan sitting in P5. They were nice and close just a moment ago. Maybe a mistake, and they weren't able to hold on. But they're still in a solid P5 at the moment. 3.9 seconds to Matt right behind, so regardless of if that time penalty is legit or not, Matt is still not close enough to get that position. 6 points isn't exactly bad, but it's not what Matt wants according to his qualifying situation. I will mention again because it's absolutely incredible. Iga Pro sits in P7, and after a late join to the race, I think points are points, and he's going to have to take it. Everyone was shocked by the wet conditions in such a hot country. You don't really think it would be possible, but it was possible. And it does make everything a lot more interesting. Does look like we're going to be staying in these wet conditions, almost starting lap 20 out of 33 for the AlphaTauri driver. He still leads and he's got it back up to a second, so it's kind of a bit of a juggle at the moment. Heischler all of a sudden catches up massively to Devon Young. So that's an interesting one. Devon Young may be losing to Zingy, But Zingy must have lost a little bit to Heischler because there's no way that... What? That's very interesting. Heischler catching up, and he's dragged Mikash with him. Nifojan may be making a mistake, but then that would have also meant that Matt was making a mistake. So maybe instead it looks like Heischler has picked up the pace. Mikash has managed to follow on quite nicely. Devon Young making a mistake and in turn closing that gap even further. So it's all looking very, very interesting at the moment. Tables are turning. Positions could be gained and lost. The question is, will the McLaren hold on to the podium by the end of this Grand Prix? Alrighty, 1.1 seconds. Devon Young tries to stabilize the gap. Heischler looking very, very quick all of a sudden, catches up nicely. It might be time for Mikash to deploy the rest of his battery, but he is deploying it. He is deploying it, and he's still way too far behind McLaren, Heischler. So it's not looking that easy. Devon Young, of course, I said, stabling that gap, so he was able to catch up. In the meantime, Nifojan makes a mistake, loses the positions to both Egapro and Matt, and that is going to be everything sorted for him. He will now be in a solid P7 compared to the P5, and he has no question of whether Matt will be within time penalty range because he is in front. 1 minute behind is PJ currently compared to the race leaders. Might be on his way to get lapped in this race if he's not careful. He's going to have to just try and stay consistent and hold on to the car. And as I was saying earlier on, Devon Young is catching back up to Zingy, but Heischler, he's catching up to Devon Young. So Heischler currently, at this late stage of the Grand Prix, is the fastest car on the circuit at this moment. Zingy's going to have to try and plan this one out. He needs to try and make Devon Young and Heischler fight. All of a sudden, Devon Young is now 0.4, 0.5 seconds away. The slipstream will now become effective, very effective, but also the dirty air will add to that, and that will possibly make it more difficult for Devon Young to follow on. And if Heischler is the fastest car on the circuit, then all of a sudden the McLaren will have a very nice opportunity at having a go at Devon Young, sorry. So if Devon Young is going to be threatened, will he fight it or will he let it go? He'd fight it to try and secure the P3 over his teammate. He'd try and fight it. What am I saying? Hold on, I'm going to start again there. Sorry for that. If he was to let it go, he would try and hold position over his teammate. If he was to fight it, he'll try and get P2, but he's probably going to lose out on Zingy, pretty much guaranteed. All of a sudden, Zingy gains quite a decent amount of time immediately again, and all of a sudden Heischler loses a little bit of time compared to Devon Young. So everything is switching up. Devon Young using the energy to try and catch back up to Zingy, keep that pressure on with about 11 laps on the current clock, if you like. So the laps are counting down, and it's getting very, very close. It's not that straightforward. Mikash, however, is a lot closer than they were before. And all of a sudden, Heischler, who was the fastest car on circuit, very quickly becomes the slowest one in the train. PJ, 3-second time penalty for him as he struggles. But that being said, he just wants to make sure that he's in the race and getting some good practice in. That being said also, a lot of time has been gained here by PJ. It makes me wonder, is this man struggling for fuel? Has he been controlling the pace the entire time and just trying to save as much fuel as he can? Maybe that's why PJ is able to get that gap down quite so significantly, because he's gaining a lot of time. Everybody else is still somewhat the same distance they were for the past couple of laps. I think Zingy might be running out of fuel here, and everybody else is having to suffer with dirty air behind. Although it's not as effective in the game as it is in real life, it still is a factor to be considered, dirty air, and it's very, very frustrating, let alone in wet conditions. Intermediate conditions these are. The tyres are usually pretty fun to drive on. Sorry, wet conditions these are, full wet conditions, so the tyres are not fun to drive on, and dirty air to add to that just loses the grip that you have, and you hardly have any at least, so it kind of just makes it impossible to drive the car. Zingy's controlling the pace nicely, and I do believe now that he might actually be running out of fuel. We're going to have a quick look at the telemetry to see what is going on with his fuel situation. It doesn't say that he is running out, and in the wet conditions I'd assume that he's not actually using any fuel. So he currently is in a good position fuel-wise, maybe going to be a little bit too heavy later on in this race. But he's got a lot of energy in that car as he's not pushing. Devon Young was pushing, but around the circuit in the wet conditions, you can save a lot of energy, and I have had experience myself in the wet conditions around Spain. You can save a lot of energy. Mikash loses out a big amount of time towards the McLaren of Heischler, so he's going to lose out there. And Heischler is all of a sudden now very close to Devon Young. Everything is switching up. Everything keeps changing constantly. Eager Pro's into the pit lane. This is an interesting one. Are we going to see the inters, or has he got damage? I believe he might have damage. No, it's inters. It is the intermediate tyre that has been plonked on. He's going to go for the extreme undercut condition situation, if you like. PJ, that's why he was so far behind. He's pitted, and he's gained that time. So it is possibly time to go for the intermediate tyre. Will Zingy pit this lap? Is it time to go in? Alrighty, Zingy's got a final sector to go, and we will find out if he goes into the pit lane or not. Devon Young is going to be the one to react. I think he's going to do whatever Zingy doesn't if he wants to get in front. Zingy's not pitting. Neither is Devon Young. Neither is Heischler or Mikash. They're all staying out. That's really, really interesting. Will Matt go for it? Is he going to go for a bit of a, I say wild card? Eager Pro and PJ have kind of already done it. So those guys are the wild cards. No one else seems to be following on. Nifojan might give it a shot. He's quite far behind with a time penalty, so I don't think he has anything to lose at this stage. But yet again, he stays out, suggesting it's too early. 14.6 seconds is the gap between Eager Pro and Nifojan. Those tyres look pretty controllable. They're looking pretty strong here from Eager Pro. And he gains a lot of time compared to the AlphaTauri. So this is the faster tyre by quite some distance. Look at PJ's lap times gaining massively on Nifojan and Eager Pro. No, basically the entire grid. They gain massively on Zingy regardless. He has to make a pit stop. Locking up the wet tyres so much slower. There's no chance, surely. The other option is to stay out on these wet tyres, hope the circuit dries up quick enough, and then he would go for a set of slick tyres. That being said, we don't have that many laps to go. So right now, Zingy is basically waiting for somebody else to pit, because if he pits and the others don't, all of a sudden he could forfeit the race. He really needs to monitor to see how much faster these tyres really are. EagerPro looking pretty quick at the moment. We'll have a quick look at the lap time, the fastest lap situation. 24.7 there. A 26.7 for EagerPro. Let's see. We'll wait until he crosses the line and then have a proper judgment of his pace. Will EagerPro be able to go fastest on this lap? He's looking quick compared to Nifojan. Across the line, and it's not going to be purple. It is not. It's a 25.9, so it's decent, but it's not as decent as I thought it might have been. So he's not going to be catching that much. We go to Zingy right here. Not Zingy, sorry. The gap to Zingy. This is the situation. EagerPro 39.4. Watch that gap and see how it goes. PJ as well. He catches up a little bit to these cars. It could very well change. The gap between PJ hasn't changed between himself and Zingy. Well, I say that. It's actually extended, but on the timing sheets it's not changed. That's weird. Maybe I'm just miscalculating that one. Lap 28 out of 33, and Zingy's still got this pressure. Devon Young's nice and close. Mikash has dropped off, and Heischler can't find a way to catch back up to Devon Young. So as we saw earlier on, it is between Mr. Young and the Scotsman of Zingy in the AlphaTauri. How's this one going to go? EagerPro not slow. It's not mega fast though, so it's probably not worth pitting. Unless it very, very quickly dries up at the very end, then it might be worth pitting for an inter tyre or just waiting immediately for the slick tyre. But with just a few laps to go, almost 5 laps, it's not going to be easy. Alrighty, 2 more corners for Zingy and he will start the last 5 laps of the Grand Prix, and he's going to have to try and push as hard as he can. He's got a lot of battery in that car, so he does have more pace to pull out right now, but in the meantime he's also going defensive on the straight to try and prevent Devon Young from having a look in the slipstream. Devon Young had a lot of battery in the car, but he's used a lot also in the straight situation, so he can hold on to that gap quite nicely. We'll see how it goes though. Looking at the gap between the race leaders and EagerPro once again, he gains 2 seconds. So yes, the tyres are faster now at this stage of the race, but are they fast enough? I don't think so. It really has to get bone dry if we do see a pit stop. Other than that, we're definitely seeing at least one driver staying out on the wet tyres. There's going to be so much chance if they do go into the pit lane that somebody has to stay out on the wet tyre. No one wants to make the pit stop though. EagerPro is catching up to Nifojan, so we'll go and check in on that battle very shortly. 0.5 seconds is the gap that splits Devon Young and Zingy yet again. On the exit of the final few corners though, what's the gap going to be? Devon Young catches up a lot here, gets a bit of a compromised exit as he does make a correction. 4 tenths though, he's in the slipstream, 3 tenths. He's looking pretty good at the moment. If he can build this up, he can keep going and start catching. 4 laps to go of this Grand Prix, slowly counting them down. We will now head over to the battle of EagerPro and Nifojan. Nifojan makes a mistake. EagerPro might have a look at the move. Nifojan holds on for now though. You can see Eager Pro right behind him. No DRS. You won't see the rear wing open. So Eager Pro is just going to have slipstream and a setup advantage to go for the move on Nipojan. He has the tyre advantage. That's going to be pretty straightforward. And that is a very nice move there from Eager Pro. Will he look at a fastest lap of the Grand Prix? That is the question. How far away is he at the moment? A 24.7. He's done a 25.9, so he's not actually going fast enough to look at a improvement over Zingy's lap time. Zingy now sitting in P1 still. 5 tenths it is again. But now all of a sudden Heischler's in the battle. The top three are back at it. And really the McLaren wants to go for that P2 if he can. It's going to be so difficult. If any advantage had been taken away already from the wet conditions, you've also got to add the fact that Devon Young is in the slipstream of Zingy. So the slipstream that you had on the straight to gain to the car in front is now gone. ERS-wise, they're both pretty much the same. So he's really in a bit of a difficult situation. Zingy's starting to use the energy here. He wants to make sure that he secures this win. 3 laps to go of this Grand Prix. And he just needs to try and distribute that battery to make sure that he doesn't get any pressure and nobody can outbrake him into any corner. That does require him not making a single mistake. However, talking about mistakes, Heischler, I think it's pretty close to the back of Devon Young there, but has a bit of a difficult exit, allowing Mikash to catch up, but it's not enough at all. You can see that the advantage that Zingy's trying to pull now, using a decent amount of energy, 0.9 seconds now is the gap, and he's trying to just pull away, to be honest. There's not really much more to it. The gap's changing all of a sudden now. Mikash is having a look at the back of Heischler. So it is literally swinging so much. In these wet conditions, the advantage can go either way, but it can change so drastically. A single mistake can change everything. 9 tenths it is from Devon Young and Zingy once again. Devon Young catches up nicely, but Zingy has the energy to deploy. 20 laps on these tyres at the moment. We're going to be going all the way to 22 when we cross the line. Zingy still holds on to the lead of the Grand Prix. After the first lap of the Grand Prix, getting into the lead around halfway, pretty much just over halfway, on the exit of turn 9 basically, into the braking zone of turn 10, he has led the Grand Prix. He's led every single lap, despite starting in P4, which is actually pretty crazy. And even after the pit stop situation, he did not lose the lead of the Grand Prix. And if he loses it now, he loses the race. He's got to make sure that he doesn't lose anything. Devon Young has fought so well, but unfortunately, we're getting to the closing stages, and he's not in a position to make a move. Heischler, great recovery, but a mistake, and Mikash is going to go through on the exit. Heischler's not going to be close enough to stick his nose, and he tries to go for a bit of an optimistic exit. He's going to tap the inside. Mikash is going to be furious at that one, and he does make the move in front, and he stays in front after that one. That's very, very lucky from both drivers. Not only do you get demon dragging, but you could have possibly got a spin in the wet conditions. Heischler's going to try and go back at this move, but is it going to be that simple? I don't think so. There's contact, and Heischler loses the car. What a shame. That is absolutely crucial. Mikash makes the move. He tried to take a wide line and then cut back through. Heischler was just trying to hold the inside. All of a sudden, it's ended up in tears. He's up to P3. There's going to be questions from both drivers. They're both going to try and defend themselves. I'll be honest, that is a difficult incident, and I can't really comment on that one. Zingy, he's not in trouble at the moment. He's good to go. He does not need to worry. He's just got a final sector, and he will be able to win yet again in LSI. Final sector now for the AlphaTauri, and he's going to make it 4 on the bounce for victories in the F1 tier, and he will further extend his championship lead only in the second race. And of course, for AlphaTauri, this will be perfect with 2 cars in this race as well. Zingy goes round the final corner and he wins the Spanish Grand Prix. That is incredible. Devon Young, what an effort. And Mikash to P3 in the end. Heisler losing out on the podium position. Matt will stay in P5 after that. He's not going to be happy, but still, what a race he's had. What a roller coaster. And he'll take some decent points for the championship. What an effort there. Matt, that was an incredible race from you. What an event. Eager Pro P6 in the end after that one. Nifo Jan going to be pretty disappointed with himself, but he still once again takes points and leads the Constructors' Championship. So he's got something to smile about as he makes it very dramatic as he crosses the line. Thanks for giving us a heart attack there, Nifo, at the end. That is the Spanish Grand Prix done. It was incredibly difficult conditions. Zingy gets driver of the day. I think that's very well deserved. Everyone has given their best effort there. But this guy comes out on top. Well done indeed. Zingy takes the win. Devon Young in P2. Then we have Mikash, Heisler, Matt Eagerpro, Nifojan, PJ, and Dave Raptors DNFing earlier on. Race fastest lap goes to Zingy right there. We're going to skim through the race director as quick as we can just in case. And we'll be back for the post-race interviews. We will see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the Spanish Grand Prix. We are going to start with Heisler. That was difficult. It was looking like a podium. Your pace wasn't too bad. In the mid part of the race, you were the fastest car on the circuit. And then all of a sudden, towards the end, it just kind of dropped away. Can you explain to us the start of the race as well? Because that was a little bit crazy. You were behind Nifojan for a while.
Actually, I can't remember the start of the race. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, it's just a long race in it. But the only part I really can remember is that I was most of the times, except for the beginning parts of the stint, I was just the quickest car on the track. But yeah, it's rain and it's so hard to get close to people and then overtake them as well.
Yeah.
And then I had an unlucky lock-up going into turn 5 it was, and I tapped Devon, which obviously I didn't meant. Yeah, I said sorry to him, but yeah, it happens, I think. And then I had an incident with Mikash as well. I just reviewed it, and that was just kind of unlucky as well. I understood a little bit into him, but he left just about enough room. But I don't think he got affected too much of it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I got affected a lot. And yeah, it is what it is. P4 is still, from where I started, decent enough.
Yeah, very good effort, and so well done to be so quick in the mid part of the race. Singapore's next. Do you like that circuit, especially with the new updates? Have you actually tried the circuit with the new updates at all?
Yeah, I have tried it actually. I had a esports event there. Yeah, it didn't go well. It got taken out sadly. But I prefer this layout over the previous one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Hopefully it goes well there for you, and hopefully we can get you a podium. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I hate rain.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. I'm sure you don't mean that. Inters are fine. It's just full wet, you know? It's just full wet. Alright, thank you very much, Heisler. We'll see you soon. We move on to Zingy. Zingy, 4 in a row. You happy with that one? Not really?
No, it was dreadful.
Now, my question to you is, were you thinking you might have actually lost the race win due to these hot tyres, or were you still able to control it?
Well,
were you slightly worried? That's my question.
You want the honest answer?
Yes.
Or you want the zingy answer?
I want the honest answer.
I was actually a little concerned because it seemed as though I was the only one that had these orangey red tyres. They were like, at one point they were 92 on the high fuel load, and they just, because the heat in the tyre, it just kept on going off so much. And yeah, Devon was quick, but I still reckon with the correct temperatures and that, I was quick, so I'm a bit annoyed, but I won either way, so you may not think of it that way, but there's so much self-improvement you can do.
Yeah.
And I think I'll carry that over into Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair enough. I was going to say, if you're not happy with this one, then I'm sure you're going to be happy with the next one, because Singapore is your circuit. The new track changes, do you like them? But also, if it's wet, would you prefer it wet or would you prefer it dry?
Well, the new track layout is interesting, yeah, of course, but I think the old layout might have not presented as much overtaking opportunity, but definitely showed true skill and determination, because you had to get right close up to the walls, push it as hard as you can over the curbs. But with this layout, this new layout, obviously it promotes overtaking, which is fantastic, but that takes away, like, part of how good I was at that circuit. And granted, they're still the first and the second, but it's really it's quite annoying. But I think actually during my world record lap, my last sector was my best on 2021. So I think they've taken away my best sector, so it's going to be interesting. But we're going to go for 5, of course.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Zingy. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Tires too hot.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Congratulations. And we move on to Devon Young. Devon, that was a drive. That was a very, very good one. Thank you very much to keep everyone on their toes. Do you think you had it? Do you think you could have possibly gone for it, but maybe the dirty air was just too effective? I don't know. You were catching up and then all of a sudden losing a lot of time.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, really. I mean, obviously, Zingy says he was struggling with his temperatures. I think I had something a little bit wrong with mine. I mean, my teammate Mikas sat in the same call as me. I think he had like at least 1% less percentage as me, like per lap. Like he was at I don't know, like 57 at the end of the race, and I was at 67, I think, in terms of rear tires. So something was going wrong there. In terms of like pace, I'm not sure. I mean, like you said, I was catching Zingy and then I wasn't. It was a little bit weird. I felt like as soon as I got in like that 4, 5, 10 sort of window, the dirty air was just horrible, and I would just, you know, like get some weird oversteer and drop out instantly. So it was pretty stressful, really, overall.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think, I'm not sure if you are driving tomorrow, but do you think that would prepare you for tomorrow if you were?
It depends if it's raining or not, I guess. Which I doubt it will be. So, but no, I am racing. But yeah, if it's raining, that's really good practice. If it's not, then I mean, I guess it means nothing.
So, regardless of good practice or not, would you prefer it to be wet or dry?
I would probably say wet, to be honest. I think recently, I don't really know where from, but I've just got some like a bit of a pace gain in the wet. I think I'm definitely quicker in the wet than I am in the dry. In terms of like comparing to other people. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I would prefer it to be raining. I think it makes it maybe a little bit more exciting as well. Obviously, there's less overtaking, but it's sort of a bit more on the edge a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's a lot more hard work involved. Gets you very, very sweaty, and hopefully if you can understand why you get so much pace in the wet, then please tell me, because I need it. Singapore, you like that circuit? Have you tried the new layout yet? What do you think of it?
I don't actually think I've done a single lap in F123 on Singapore, to be honest. So we're a little bit underprepared, but we've got a week to practice. But no, I've seen the new layout and it looks interesting. I mean, Singapore's never been like a circuit I like love anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference to me, the new layout, but it looks exciting and it should be a fun race.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow. And one last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
P2 once again.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully you can actually make it a number 1 this time. Well done. Well done indeed. Alrighty, thank you very much everybody for the race. We will see you tomorrow for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we'll see you next weekend for the Singapore Grand Prix before the first week break week, whatever you want to call it. Just don't merge it like I just did. We will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.